that's a fancy introduction. Well, welcome to What's Your Emergency, the podcast where we talk about all kinds of emergencies, be them on the job or off duty. Joining us live in studio for his first time on WYE, he was here for the previous iteration, Dr. John Jaquish, the creator, inventor, extraordinaire of the X3 bar. Doc, welcome back.
Welcome, Doc.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were on the old show, but we were just
Watch your
talking.
language.
Yeah, that's true. We this time we have no explicit tag, so sadly, which is a very difficult thing for us. However, we've muddled through, right? So for those of our new audience who are unfamiliar with what the X3 bar is and what you do and how you came to create it,
Sure.
Give us a real quick Reader's Digest version of those things.
Okay, so X3 came out of an observation I made when I was doing research. There was a clinical trial in London done on a medical device that I invented that puts compressive force on bone. So it's where people emulate high impact forces.
Okay.
So they're just put in the positions where they naturally absorb impact, and then they self-create force on the axis of bone, meaning the long way, end to end. And when that happens, individuals can go many multiples of body weight. I mean, we're talking even like deconditioned elderly female people can put tremendous amounts of force through their bone. And so these are loads that are higher than some of what professional weightlifters lift. So I'm looking at this and I think, okay, when I compare what loads people use in the gym, and this data is tracked by the American College of Sports Medicine, I noticed that there's a huge difference. So anyone who picks a weight they use in a gym, they choose it because they can handle it in the weaker range of motion. Hence, we call it the weaker range of motion, right? So when observing that there's a 7-fold difference between the weights people select and what they're actually capable of in the more optimized ranges of motion, to me, once making that observation, weightlifting doesn't make sense anymore because we can handle so much more force and take the muscle to a much greater level of fatigue. And just as an example, when people go to the gym, they do multiple sets. Why? How many sets do you do in the sunlight to get a tan?
An hour-long one?
It's like a goofy question. Like you go out in the sun, your skin gets irritated, your body adapts. So it just like, it's kind of a crazy question. Like when I say how many sets do you do in the sun, people look at me like, what are you talking about? You just go out in the sun, you come in, right. So one stimulus. So we have one stimulus to trigger bone growth. You only need one absorption of force above 4.2 multiples of body weight through the hip to trigger bone growth. One. That's it. So any other adaptation should take one stimulus. The fact that people have to do multiple sets is a monument to how ineffective weight training is.
And inefficient. Right? If you're having to do it over and over and over and over again, that to me screams of inefficiency.
Now,
sure.
Doc, I have a question for you real quick. You'd mentioned in our previous show when you were talking about the stresses on the bones, you mentioned not only the elderly, but professional gymnasts. And
Right.
how they were doing these things, and they were strong, but it didn't match their was it the bone density? What is it that...
Right. The impact absorption.
Impact absorption. Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
you know.
So
it's like you know the words.
The research, the best references are out of gymnastics because gymnasts are absorbing sometimes 10 times their body weight through their lower extremities. They get incredible bone density. They have superhuman bone density, but they injure because every impact absorption is an out of control event. I just made it a controlled one. So it's my bone density device is called OsteoStrong. It's a robotic musculoskeletal stimulus device, and they're big. They're like $100,000.
That's how Skynet starts, by the way.
Yeah.
Robotic bone density sounds frightening.
Alexa, check my bone density.
It does not. It does not have a mind of its own.
Oh, thank God.
It does what it's
Imagine if it did.
Yeah.
Well, to go back to what you said earlier, the deconditioned elderly people, right? Yeah. Now, I wanted to bring you back on because we've talked about this ad nauseum about X3 and how amazing it is and all that good stuff on my YouTube channel and on the previous show.
Yes.
But I'm not sure that we went too deep on how you started this for personal reasons. And you mentioned, again, the deconditioned elderly people. It was something to do with your mom, wasn't it?
Yeah. I developed it to treat my mother's osteoporosis.
Okay.
That's like what it came from.
That's
Right.
Like, you're a good boy.
Hey, you know what?
Who's a good boy?
I like to remind her that I am, but she still gives me a lot of unsolicited advice that insinuates I'm not.
That's a mom's job.
Yeah.
That's their complete function.
That's par for the course.
Yeah.
But you developed this for your mom, and you realized
Yeah.
the greater applications, or was that kind of hand in hand?
I want to treat my mother's bone density, so I built a really crude prototype, which she did not want to use because it was scary looking. I
told you to leave the spikes off.
It was an absolute struggle to get her to use the prototype. Like, it was an argument every week. And but she did it, and in 18 months, she went from being osteoporotic to having the bones of a 30-year-old woman. And of course, I was using it, and I noticed all kinds of crazy changes that I didn't expect. And so then I just went down a path. I didn't even have my PhD then. I developed the device before doing my PhD. So
Wow.
when I went to get my PhD, it was like I approached a bunch of universities and said, I'm coming with my own project. I don't want to study what you tell me to study. I'm studying my thing. And finally found a university to give me a full ride. Because they were just so excited about being,
Did you have this entrepreneurial spirit before, or was this something that was developed just from this project?
Great question. My father was one of the guys who designed and built the lunar rover for NASA. The little car.
So you had an inside track.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
It's ultimately.
My dad did stuff too.
I think a lot of people, they look at the world or like an idea, like for example, like some dentist asked me this question, like how the hell did you how do you come up with these things? You've now invented two world-changing things. How'd you come up with it? And I'm like, well, why do you think you haven't? Like, let me give you an example. Have you ever wondered why nobody comes up with a toothbrush that brushes both sides of your teeth at the same time? Just clamps over your teeth and,
That's actually a thing. I have one now.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, and
It's not terribly
because
effective.
only weirdos are going to buy it. Let's be honest.
Well, I asked this dentist, and the dentist is like, man, I don't know. Like, clearly he didn't know about that.
Well, I came up with something. Speaking of dentists, I said, how come your gloves aren't flavored? That would make this so much more pleasant if your gloves didn't taste like plastic. And the dentist actually said, well, then you'd salivate and we'd have to suction you more. I'm like, oh, so somebody's had this idea already.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
But you can't let that stop you, right?
Right,
Don't
right,
think
right.
that
Yeah.
it hasn't come up yet because somebody else already thought of it.
Right. And I think that people in a certain industry, whether it's law enforcement, like how many times do you think, man, I really wish we had something that was a little less aggressive than a beanbag cannon and it still wouldn't hurt people, or whatever. I mean, I don't know. Not
There's
but, like how do we subdue somebody who's taking PCP and is out of control, right? Like, so like there's guys like you two who have been thinking about this kind of stuff forever, and you have ideas, but most people just never execute. It's like, because my father has this expression: ideas are worthless. Implementation is everything.
Oh yeah.
Every once in a while, somebody calls me, I got a great idea for it. Yeah, keep your idea.
We had a
I don't
guy
have
on the
any
show
ideas.
not too long ago that said, people say knowledge is power. No, it's not.
No.
Execution of knowledge is power, and that makes a huge difference. And talking about subduing somebody, we've actually seen in the past few weeks in law enforcement, there's a new tool that's like a prototype. Basically, it's a little gun that shoots out bolos. But no pun intended.
Like our show bolos?
No.
Or something different?
Like two
Like
balls
bolo tie.
with a
Like a bolo
yeah,
tie.
you throw it at somebody and it kind of wraps. You play the bolo game, the testy
Yeah,
toss.
it wraps up their legs.
Yeah, and they just whoop, boink. There you go. Problem solved. Yeah,
And they
so
point.
it's mother of
It's a lot easier
necessity
to
is a
cuff
mother of
them when
invention.
They don't have access.
Absolutely,
To their legs.
absolutely.
So, Doc,
That's
how
great.
do you balance trying to put out a product that's beneficial versus something that's marketable? Is there a decent crossover, or did that really take you a lot of work to get this into the market where it's effective?
Yeah, that takes a lot of work. So ultimately, there's things you can do that are great, and a lot of people won't do them, right? So Like from a nutritional standpoint, we know what people should be doing, and they're clearly not doing it. From a weight loss standpoint, we know what people should be doing, and they're not doing it. So ultimately, you need to create something that is pleasant enough, or even biomechanically effective. So when discovering what I discovered, just the massive inefficiency of weight training, I thought, okay, band training's been around a long time, but it's really mostly physiotherapists for the European listeners. Anybody listening in Europe?
Oh yeah, actually worldwide, baby.
We just cracked the top 100 in Pakistan.
That's a true story. We ranked number 94 under training in Pakistan.
They have law enforcement there too.
They do.
You're welcome, Pakistan.
Yeah.
Yes.
So pay attention, India.
Oh,
we got him off topic.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. So what was the question?
You're talking about resistance has been around for a long time.
Yeah, right. So, band training, variable resistance, been around a long time. Physical therapists have been using it. But ultimately, when you get the bands heavier and try and apply it to fitness, which is a much more strenuous force, you got two options. You either go really light, so it doesn't twist your wrists. Because basically, you hang onto a heavy band, like a pull-up assist band. Mm-hmm. Those are what I started prototyping with. Those aren't meant to grab. Those are meant to hook a foot into and offload the bottom, of the pull-up before you pull yourself up. I started like seeing if I could do a curl or a push-up with those, and it's like a wrist injury every time you attempt this. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to do a deadlift with it, you're putting hundreds of pounds of lateral force into your ankle. You could break it. So I realized I was going to write a book about band training and how it's like totally superior. And I'm like, well, it's not. Like, either you go light, so you're getting a workout, but you're really not going to grow much muscle from it. Because growing muscle is all about heavy. And so heavy is relative to the person, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just going to say, heavy is just an interpretation of resistance, right? Whether it's gravity or something
you got to be going like way beyond your body weight with most muscle groups to really stimulate some.
That's why I put on more weight so that I can
train more.
So you can lift more?
Yeah, that's genius. In a really weird way.
You did not put on weight. I've been paying attention.
Thanks, Doc.
It's like there was no way to pull it off. So writing a book about band training would be just like, I don't want to do that. However, I thought, okay, if I were to build an Olympic bar that were handled, let's say 1,000 pounds or something like that, with the swivel inside of it like a normal Olympic bar, and then a second ground to stand on that the bands could flex and move underneath the feet to protect the ankles. If we could do that, then we could go real heavy, heavier than most people would ever expect, and safer, because when you get into the weaker ranges of motion, the weight drops off. So the problem with weight training, and Dr. Peter Attia says this all the time, the problem with fitness is we overload joints and underload muscle. X3 is doing the opposite. X3 is overloading muscle and underloading joints. So that, because ultimately, what's the stimulus of building stronger tendons and ligaments? It's musculature. So, it's really one comes before the other. The muscle gets bigger, and then the supporting structure comes in to support it.
So you've been pushing X3 for a couple of years now, right? A little bit longer?
It's coming up on 2 years, yeah.
Okay, great. And I've noticed that, on our YouTube channel and, on Facebook groups or what have you, that the more successful you get, the more results people are getting, the more haters are coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
And, in law enforcement, especially in a custody setting, we call them door warriors. These are guys who are going to run their mouths at, Dep, I'm going to whoop your behind, blah, blah, blah. Right. And as soon as you pop that door, and you're like, oh, put up or shut up, they go away.
Yeah, of course.
So keyboard warriors in this day and age are everywhere. So how do you deal with these people that are just coming on your site and talking smack?
Oh, yeah. I love it. They go on the ads that I pay for, and they expect to be given unlimited license to lie about me, insult me, whatever. And then, it's unbelievable. It'd be like going to a restaurant and screaming that the food is made of cockroaches and rats. Like, and having that not be true. Like, that's what these guys are doing. And then, they would like be upset that they get kicked out. Like, okay. So I at first, I thought my job was difficult when launching a medical product, because I had medical doctors that were like, we don't believe in what you're saying. Show us the evidence. And when I showed the evidence, when I demonstrated how this bone density device worked, they were like, well, we're behind it. Sounds great. And like Albuquerque, for example, there's multiple successful OsteoStrong locations. There's 28 referring physicians in the city of Albuquerque, which is not that big.
Oh, it's not. Dude, I lived there 8 years.
Nice. Okay. Isn't it beautiful? Such an underrated town.
How long did you stay there?
I've been there 10 times.
How long did you stay each time? Less than a week? More than a week?
Less than a week.
Yeah, see? Everybody that loves Albuquerque has not been there for more than a week. You've seen it all, repeatedly.
Yeah, it's true. It's small.
So you've got all these referring locations. You get the doctors on board once they see the data, once they see how it works. But the trolls don't want the data.
Right. Yeah. Right. So the fitness industry is very different, because somebody who's a detractor in medicine, you show them the efficacy and they can say, well, I still think there should be more research, but there's definitely something here. That's like the meanest thing they can say. Whereas in fitness, I mean, there's a couple things going on. Research is like clearly not assessed at all. Like here, let me give you an example. 40 years of research will show you that cardiovascular exercise is probably the worst thing to engage in to drop body fat. Yet every gym you walk into, you can say to a trainer, so what do you recommend cardio for? And they're like, well, losing body fat. Like, okay, like 40 years, like it's been around almost longer than I've been alive, this information. They don't know. And they actually don't seem to care, because that's just what's said. That's just what they've been told, and they're just going to repeat it. So part of it is just a lack of science being in fitness. Though there are some pretty good sports science scientists out there, I just don't think they're heard very often, or they're not heard enough.
Or in the right places.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they're not going to the right locations.
Right. I
mean, they don't want to go to the right locations.
Ultimately, some former athlete writes an article about his training. It's going to get a lot more attention than some professor, because nobody cares.
Yeah, it's the cult of personality. If you can get somebody who's a famous person to say, "Hey, I like this thing," suddenly that thing is incredible.
Yeah,
But it also depends on which sports person.
True.
You could be a former backup quarterback for one team.
And nobody cares about you.
And nobody cares. Yeah. Or you could be that guy that's dating the supermodel, and suddenly everybody wants to do it. But Doc, getting back to
I know you're talking
trying
about
to make things. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's my age, and they say he's old. Whatever.
Well, you're old.
Going back to talking about marketing versus having a successful, useful product, I imagine that you could have taken the X3 bar and turned it into a $10,000 home gym that takes up 20 square feet in my home or in the firehouse or at the police station.
No, I wanted to make it as affordable as possible.
But not just affordable, but you made it portable. I mean, we were camping last year, and
you brought
MC brought the X3 bar and did his workout, and I was watching him going, dang.
It's awesome. Yeah.
But that was built into the design, right?
Of course.
It didn't need to be a big thing.
No. I wanted to show the simplicity and elegance. Steve Jobs says there's nothing more complex than simplicity. I had to do a lot of thinking on how to make this just simple, clean, portable. Like it's such a striking, like, wait a minute, like you showed up with that in a backpack and you just did your whole workout that's heavier than any workout I've ever seen. That's, that was absolutely part of the design. Let me jump back into the detractors, because I came across some research on the mentality of this, which I think will be very interesting to the listeners and especially the people in law enforcement. Mostly because It turns out internet trolls, they were originally thought to be sociopathic. Like, sociopath is like a liar, right? Just chronic lie, and they believe in their own lies. These are the people who can pass lie detector tests even when they're clearly lying. That's not who internet trolls are, apparently. They're psychopathic. These are the people who hurt animals for fun. So that's the mentality of somebody who goes around on the internet and just starts insulting the people that they're jealous of.
Oh, it's easy. It's incredible.
These are the people you arrest.
Yep, absolutely.
These are the people like they're bad people, and they want to do harm.
One of my favorite quotes from Sherlock Holmes is, "I'm not a psychopath. I'm a high-functioning sociopath. Do the research."
Yeah,
but that's an important distinction.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because you might look at it and think, "Oh, these are just the crazies, whatever." But there's actually a method to it.
Right, and the more success, and I told you, like, the fitness as an industry gets more hate than any other industry because it hits jealousy from multiple places.
Oh yeah,
all this is jealousy driven.
Yep.
They hate anyone who's in better shape than they are. So like everybody who's in better shape than they are, like, clearly took steroids, and anyone who isn't in as good a shape as them just doesn't train hard, because that allows them to put themselves at the absolute pinnacle of human performance.
Yeah.
So a lot of this effort is and like, why are they so crazy about it? Like, I had a guy who created 8 fake Facebook accounts, which takes time.
Yeah, that's some effort.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
all to do all kinds of nasty posts on my advertisements. And this guy was so upset, and finally I figured out who he was and let Facebook know, and I think they actually banned his IP address.
Yeah.
Imagine putting that effort into the X3 bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's
It's
something
like,
productive.
Yeah. Why don't you take your free
Stop
time
now.
and invent something on your own?
Yeah.
Like, go be successful. I'm not keeping you from doing that. I'm also not holding a gun to anyone's head to buy my product.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't like it, or if you're skeptical, just wait. You'll meet somebody who's actually used it, because the people who shoot their mouths off, they've never seen it.
That was going to be one of my questions. Have they ever gone to a demo site, picked the thing up, and pushed some weight around?
No, but there are quite a few liars. Like I got all kinds of posts, and I even read a blog where some guy was like, "It killed my father. As soon as he got it, he did a set and he died of a heart attack." And the best part about, number one, I would have heard if that had actually happened. Number two, it was said before the product was launched. So, like, nobody had the product.
Yeah, how's that even
Because I
possible?
did like 6 months of pre-sale.
The dead father isn't even creative.
Yeah.
It's like we're going to the go-tos,
Yeah. So there's a lot.
My grandma died. I don't have to go to school today. Oh, that's the 5th one.
Yeah, I have a big
Right.
family.
I'm doing the math.
I got a big family.
Right.
Well, you've never struck me as the kind of guy who's just going to sit back and, okay, I've done the thing, so I guess I'll stop doing other stuff now. So what's next?
Yeah, you're moving forward.
Yeah,
right?
what's next
Oh,
for X3?
Oh, I have some ways to apply X3 that are going to blow people's minds.
Oh, I think we tripped him up a little bit. I think he might be giving us a sneak peek here.
He's very good at saying just enough and then pulling back.
There's some things on the way that are.
All right, then
stuff.
they're going to change the world.
Some stuff with the guy in the place.
Then let's talk about tech real quick, and then we'll wrap up the interview. There's a new app specifically for
That's right.
X3.
Thanks for bringing that
right?
up.
So it's in beta.
No, it's out of beta now.
Oh, it is out of beta.
It's launched.
Okay,
It's launched.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've
free.
seen it.
Just go. It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's on the
Wherever
App
you get
Store.
your apps.
Yeah, the App Store, and if you have Android, we have a version for Android too.
So when you're using the app to track your workouts, I've noticed that the big bars, the columns, that they will have a total at the top. Now, is that just the amount of force you have exerted in that particular exercise?
Yeah, it's a total of peak forces.
Okay, because some of those numbers get pretty big.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy,
right? Because I want people to realize actually how much force they're putting on. We tell people also what the peak forces are per rep, and then you enter how many partial reps you could do also, because you want a fatigue and diminishing range. So like if I'm doing a chest press, first here, I'm going to fatigue, and then in the middle, top middle, and then lower middle as you go down. So you count the partial reps too, and so the algorithm in the software gives you like that grand total, but it also tells you what you're hitting at peak. But it's kind of understated, some really small text, because sometimes women, as soon like they love the product, they're like, I've lost so much weight, I'm stronger, my posture is better, my shoulders are pulled back, my chest looks bigger because I have better posture. All great. And then as soon as I tell them how much peak force that they're dealing with, they're like, oh my God, that's
I can't handle that much weight.
Whoa, like I'm now scared. Like, so it's a balancing act.
There's a challenge to change the mindset
Yeah.
as well, because I used to go to the thing and I do the 25 pounds, but on X3 that's different because it's going to be the resistance, and I'm going to get that more resistance the stronger I am.
Right.
And those stronger points,
That's right.
and the weaker and the weaker. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
If you understand the science and the pathophysiology, excuse me.
And I'll tell you what,
it makes sense.
Let's say you're somebody like me who doesn't understand the science, who doesn't want to understand the
Just
science.
call up your paramedic buddy.
No, I will try the product, and I will
That's
see.
weird. You're actually going to test it
I will see a difference.
before you offer an opinion?
Right? Yeah. Imagine
It's,
that. That's how we
2010,
got
buddy. You need to
connected.
move
I called him
forward.
up and I said, "Hey, I'm interested in your product."
Yeah.
It's not hard, folks.
Is that the exception to the rule, Doc, that people are calling up to ask for information, or you see a lot of hits on your research, or is it just the haters? I imagine it's mostly haters.
Will that
and
do
trolls
what?
That
The
reach
question
out to
the
you.
research?
No, that
No,
are
they just
interested,
try and connect
or
with
just
you.
reach out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get more haters or
Interesting.
more people
Trolls.
that are curious?
Trolls never message me. They want to make their display of jealous rage very public.
They want to splash.
Right, because they're looking for attention too. Remember, a lot of social media is kind of narcissistic driven. So it's like, hey, look at how
I don't know what you mean.
Look at how smart I am. Look at how cool I am. I can take this successful guy and try and tear him down.
Yeah.
But really, what they're doing is like I can demonstrate how the product works. I have done so on the website. Like, just read the website. So somebody who kicks and screams about it, they're just losers.
I love the guys that come on Facebook
'em.
and say, well, this is pretty good, but if I'd made it, I'd have made the bar 2 inches longer.
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
always
Then
there's
okay.
always a guy
I mean,
that's
come
going
on.
to say that exactly.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
they'd be
absolutely.
violating my patent, but yeah, I would own their house. But the bar width question, there's a Falsehoods of Fitness on that's my show on YouTube, where I talk about the things that are in fitness that people really embrace that are just like really, it's like based on false understanding or misunderstanding of human physiology. A wide grip bench press will allow you to use more weight, but it is not very good at getting you strong because I don't have a lot of space to be still on camera, but when you're at the top, like this, the pectoral is not fully contracted. It's fully contracted when your hand is in front of you. Maybe even somebody can create an argument that you got to bring the humerus across the body. So I designed that narrow bar so that you can bring the humerus closer to the midline of the body on each side and get a better chest stimulus. So a close grip bench press is better. Now, of course, with variable resistance, it's way better because if somebody compares the weighted bar, wide versus close, no one's going to agree with that, but they don't understand variable resistance, and that's what we're applying. So I designed it to get people as strong as possible. And wide grip is the opposite of that. Wide grip is great if you like talking about how much you bench press. Or if you're in a bench press contest. No one's going to take a narrow grip at a bench press contest, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to win bench press contests or just talk about how much you bench press, which seemingly people think that's important. People ask me, what do you bench? And I'm like, I don't know. I would never waste my time doing
a Buick.
I would say, what do you couch?
Yeah. There you go.
Hey,
So
I can say weird things too.
yeah, so ultimately, like, it's designed to make you as strong as possible, which means if you want to also go do bench press, you're going to be awesome, way better than you would have been. So that's the answer to that question.
Well, Doc, I can't thank you enough for making the journey once again. And
Yeah, thank
if
you.
you'll
This is fun.
if you look at the sign behind us here, if on the YouTube channel, if you go to x3bar.com, if you want to save 10%, use the coupon code MotorCop, save you 10% on your purchase. Again, full disclosure, I am an affiliate because I love this freaking thing and I support it and I support you. So I want to get as much of these out there as we can.
Pow.
And yeah, and that's the way you'll feel when you're done.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah.
So, but here's one last little tidbit of info. You have graciously agreed, as you did on our last show, to we're gonna do
I
another.
don't remember what I agreed to.
You're gonna do we're doing a giveaway of an X3 bar, right?
That's right.
Fantastic. So we will have
There you go, guys.
information on that in the show notes. I will go ahead and make up a link in my head right now. We'll go to wyeradio.com/X3 giveaway. wyeradio.com/X3 giveaway. And that will be the way for you to enter. We'll run it for a week, and somebody's going to get them a brand new spanking
They're going to be
X3
able
bar.
to see the results, and hopefully it doesn't go to one of those trolls.
It
Because
won't.
No,
it
they-
won't.
no.
They're not looking for
They're
their own
only
bother.
interested in having their jealous rage tantrums.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But our audience is out there, and even though they've heard about it, what a great opportunity to really get out there and get started on the X3 bar. Thank you so much, Dr. John Jaquish, for
Awesome,
my
guys.
buddy Motor Cop, MC from MCPD Studios. This is Justin Shore, the Happy Medic, off camera. There I am. We'll talk to you guys later. Stay safe.
Cheers.
Bye.